Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Little afternoon. I like to be fashionably late with my start time. So my name is John Jent. I'm chair of the Staff Senate, and thank you all for coming. Hey, shush. They're all senators. I can shush them. So we kind of conceived of this last year, the mentorship program, and originally the person who had thought of it, who actually has left and gone to grad school in another state now, wanted to do it just within the Senate, and I just felt that it needed to be broader than that, because all of us that are staff here at this university, in one way or another, are trying to advance, at least a large portion of us, and the best way to do that is to make new contacts and to figure out what you're missing, like what the puzzle pieces are. And that's what I think this program is going to be able to do for us. And so you guys are going to be the launch participants if you choose to participate, and we're very excited. We already have a good number of people who are willing to step up and be mentors, some of which are very high in the administration. So I am going to now introduce Stacy Miller from the College of Agriculture, who's going to talk to us a little bit more about the concept of being a mentor or a mentee.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm told that it will be easy to find my presentation. Yay. Okay. Now, we're not actually running a staff mentorship program or anything in cooperative extension. I was asked to come in and talk about the value of mentorship, because we in cooperative extension have had for many, many years a formal mentorship process that we have all really benefited from. And I will just give you a quick overview of that so you'll know what we have been doing in case you all want to incorporate any of these concepts into what you are doing. And just to give you an idea of why this is so valuable to us, we in cooperative extension have an office in every county of the state. And so our employees are very spread out geographically. Our agents are placed in each office. We have 3 program areas that we teach in: agriculture and natural resources, family and consumer sciences, and 4-H youth development. And so typically when we hire a new agent and place them in a county, they're going to be the only person in the county who does what they do. And that's kind of a difficult position to be in. There'll be some overlap between the agents on some general reporting requirements that we have, but the 3 different educational areas actually look quite different overall. In the networks that they get involved in and the work that they do is very different across the program areas. And their supervisors are very spread out. They supervise currently between 15 and 20 counties. So their supervisors are very involved, and we have a lot of formal training, but we find there's a need to get in there and have somebody help them with some of the minutia. So that's what we do. So when we hire a new agent, we match that agent with somebody in the same program area in a different county. All of our mentors, we do require them to complete a formal training program and to commit to a 1-year mentorship. So when we're selecting mentors to develop our mentees, we're looking for people who are effective in their program development, who are effective in marketing, and who are strong in administrative and fiscal compliance. And we want them to have at least 3 years of experience. Now, your programs may look different because geographically you're much closer to one another on campus than we are in extension, but formally we require our mentors and mentees to meet at least 6 times a year, to have a formal meeting at least 6 times a year. 3 of those we want to be in person, so they're going to travel and meet in person with one another. In between those visits, we do expect that they'll be in frequent communication with each other. They're emailing, they're Skyping, they're talking on the phone. So our goals with our mentorship program: 1, we want to identify for our mentees resources and resource persons for them who will assist them in their careers. We want to provide them with education concerning our organizational philosophy, our goals, our policies, and our values. We want our experienced professionals to share their skills and their knowledge with the mentees. And we also want to strengthen our mentees' self-confidence. These are leadership roles in the communities that they're in. And we hire a full range of people, but we're not afraid to hire new graduates. And sometimes that's an intimidating position to be in if you're just at the beginning of your career, or if you've moved into extension for the first time and you've never worked in this field. This is a great opportunity to help build their self-confidence. And we want to foster open communication and dialogue. Sometimes it's hard for a new employee to ask the questions that they feel like they need to ask because they don't want to look bad in front of their supervisor. So we really encourage that open dialogue between mentor and mentee, and encourage it to be confidential. I mean, within reason. If something serious were happening, we would want to know what that is. But we do encourage, sort of a safe zone of communication between mentor and mentee so they can get it right, which is what we really want. So the value of mentorship to the mentee, the first two kind of go hand in hand. It accelerates their productivity. They are able to get up to speed much, much faster if they have a resource that they can call on pretty quickly to give them more information, and it enhances their effectiveness. So there is a lot to this job. Our agents do a lot of work. This is kind of a labor of love. It's a job that has just a lot of detail to it, a lot of reporting. They do tax work, they do fiscal work, they work with local governmental entities, and there's just a lot of what they do. And then in their spare time, they do educational programming. So there's just a lot of technical components to it. So this is something that helps them get up to speed a little faster. We encourage our mentors to share work product with their mentees. So our agents have to put out regular newsletters. We're communicating with the public about what we're doing and what offerings there are. So they give them examples of newsletters, or they'll give feedback on ways to make their marketing more effective. We have our agents go out and do TV and radio and newspaper articles. We encourage our mentees to accompany them when they're doing these things so they can see how those connections are made and how that kind of programming is done. We have county advisory councils that advise us in our program areas and things, and that help us with community needs assessments. We encourage our mentees, our new agents, to go and see that done in another county before they're leading it in their own county. So we encourage them to get out there and participate in those things, and almost like an apprenticeship, get out there and experience it with somebody else who knows what they're doing, build a good foundation for when they go into their counties and do it. To me, though, I think the most significant benefit to the mentorship program from the mentee's perspective is this expansion of their professional network. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're geographically very spread out, but even if we weren't, this is somebody who can introduce a new employee to resources and contacts all across campus for administrative issues. They are able to introduce them to their colleagues around the state, so other agents who teach in their areas are able to introduce them and help them form those relationships. We answer a lot of technical questions, particularly in agriculture, for community members, and we expect our agents, if they don't already know the answers to what root rot is being brought into the office to be examined, that they'll reach out to extension specialists, researchers on campus to help find that information. But you have to know who to call to do that effectively. So they're introducing them to their network of specialists on campus who can help them provide good answers, research-based information, and to their professional association, so to help them expand that professional network beyond just our internal folks, but with other community members and producers, which again enhances programming, helps us to provide a better result to our clients. So that's really important to us. And it helps them to get access to some of this cultural information that may not be written down in policies. This is how we do it. It's not written down anywhere. We have a lot of things written down. But there's, again, so much that I think it's helpful to find out how we like to do things, how we communicate with each other, what's important to the people in this organization, what's important to community members, and that kind of experience, that cultural information is really valuable if we want our new agents to be successful and to integrate successfully into their new role and into their communities. For the mentor, there are actually some other unintended consequences, or maybe intended, I guess. When you teach a class and you get out there and give a presentation, nobody gets as much out of it as the teacher does, right? It's that preparation. It's having to look this stuff up yourself and make sure you're giving accurate information. It actually improves our mentors' effectiveness as well as they're wanting to give accurate information. It also gives them a chance to enhance their leadership skills. And this is great because it gives our folks a chance to develop themselves, to show themselves as leaders, which creates advancement opportunities for them and also just improves their skills as they interact with professionals in their communities. I mean, it's something that they can put on their PEs and that their supervisors can refer to as well, which may affect, you know, their employment here as well, so if they do it right, they do it well. For the organization, again, a lot of these benefits overlap. You know, we benefit from having folks who are able to get up on board and running much faster. And to have much better compliance. There's a lot of technical components to this, both in finance and administration, and in reporting. We receive state and federal money, and we want to be accountable for that and be good stewards. So we have a lot of reporting requirements. We want to make sure that those are being met so we can show the public what we're doing for them. It also frees up supervisor time because there is so much detail to what we do. This is, again, a chance for somebody to really get in there and ask all the questions that they have without tying up their supervisor for one new employee. So that really frees them up. It does decrease turnover as well. There's a lot more job satisfaction, I think, if you feel comfortable that you know what you're doing. And I find often when folks apply for employment with extension, and I ask them why they want to leave their current position, what I often hear is that they felt like they were just thrown into the middle of things and had to figure it out themselves. And people don't like that. That is not a good morale booster for folks. So this is just a retention benefit for us as well, as people feel contented with what they're doing. Again, it improves teamwork because they're working with other agents across counties, and it helps us with the continuity of our culture. So we want to, again, emphasize our values. We are a service organization. We want to help people. That's what we do. That's a strongly held value for us. And we like to convey that to our mentees. I will say just a tiny word of caution. A bad mentor can do as much damage as a good mentor can do good. So when you are selecting your mentors, do it wisely. You know, you want to select somebody who really truly is effective, who is a positive influence, has a good attitude, because you want to perpetuate a good culture in your organization. If you pick somebody who is disgruntled, you're going to perpetuate a culture of people who are disgruntled. So that's my Indiana Jones reference for you. So thank you all.
Question in the chat if we could have your slides.
Sure. Sure. All right. Anything? All right. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Catherine Hayden. I am the Communications Director for the College of Communication and Information here on campus. I am currently a staff senator, but last year when I participated in the mentorship program, I was not. This is Misty Wright.
I currently work with UK Healthcare IT, and I've been a staff senator since 2009 in various realms. And last year was the first year that I had stepped to the mentorship program as a mentee.
So Misty and I were actually paired together, kind of not at the beginning. We kind of fell into it because somebody dropped out. She's been here 17 years. I've been here 12. What do I have to share? Why am I mentoring a person who's been here longer than me? What can I tell her about the university? I had serious doubts about being a mentor, as I just didn't see myself in that role. However, it turns out that Misty wanted to get more from her healthcare IT into more strategic marketing and promotion and communication. So that is my wheelhouse. So that's where it came along. And it just so happened that it fit in with, we had the part of I'm in a campus communicators group, and we met monthly. So I rolled Misty into those meetings, and she got to find out about what's going on main campus. As far as marketing promotion, it was when we were rolling out the new Wildly Possible campaign. So she got to be involved in even some of the testing of that. So it worked out really well from my end. So I do along the lines of what they just said, I do feel like I learned, and it helped me teach and just realize that Hey, maybe I do know what I'm doing.
So my first perspective was, oh my gosh, look at her title. She's going to be teaching me this stuff. Yes. And so we got together over lunch at least once a month, and we ended up actually becoming good friends. We would talk about everything from a day in the life of, with her role, a day in the life of my current role, why I was looking to potentially move into the direction of strategic communication and marketing, because everybody knows that you can fall in love with classes when you're taking them, and the real world versus what you learn in a course is not always the same. So I was excited to get some real world knowledge and real world experience shared down with me. And the cherry on top was getting to go to these meetings after our lunch and our conversation. We would go, and I actually got to put a voice in and do a few little things in the meeting when they were picking things. I got to actually partake in the Wildly Possible campaign, and that was totally unexpected as a mentee, but greatly appreciated. She did not have to take me that route, but she saw how excited I was and that I was truly interested and gave me that opportunity, and it was wonderful.
My experience as being in the pilot program for the mentor mentee was a bit different than Misty's and her mentor. I signed up actually to be a mentee and was assigned as a mentor, and that was intimidating for me. I think they may have done that because of my age, I'm thinking, not necessarily because of my experience. But I'm an introvert, and yet I like to be of assistance to other people. And when I saw that they had a need for volunteers for this pilot program, I volunteered and just took what I was given as a mentor. However, when I met my partner, she and I both agreed that we would work with each other to help each other rather than be a superior and inferior type relationship or a teacher and a learner. We worked together, and that was a really valuable experience for me. I think that often we all get in ruts. We do the same things, see the same things, do the same things that interest us. And when we put ourselves out there in a new situation where we're meeting people with totally different interests and insights, it gives us more understanding of the world around us, makes us appreciate diversity and to value the benefits it brings into our lives. And that's what I encountered with my relationship with my mentor slash mentee, because I consider her every bit of a mentor as I was. So I agreed to meet her as colleagues, and we were both kind of intimidated by this process. So we decided to meet at the health and wellness activities they had once a month over at, I don't know, Breckenridge Hall. And that kind of gave us an informal atmosphere to meet. And it worked really well for us because there was a short lecture or discussion at that meeting. And then there were free time, usually a small craft or something. So we used that time to really touch base. And it gave us a purpose to meet at a specific time and location that worked for both of us. She didn't have to take any additional time off from work to meet with me. Or she was a young mother, so she had children. And it wasn't a good fit to work or to meet with her in a social setting. So this worked really well for us. And during those times, I got to know a lot about her and her about me. And through those relationships, I was able to get feedback on things that were happening in my work life. And I also got feedback from her, encouraging her to maybe expound on her direction and her interests. And I got to know her more personally as well. So through that personal introduction and relationship, she was able to address some of my interests and needs too. For instance, it was simply mentioning, for instance, there was an activity at Raven Run. She knew I like to hike, and she had that commonality. So maybe we met at Raven Run, actually with McConnell Springs. And so it was fun to run into her at McConnell Springs at the activity that she suggested I attend, that I wouldn't have attended otherwise. So that relationship really grew into more of a friendship, I would say. But through that friendship, I learned more about somebody else rather than just being focused in focused on myself. As an introvert, it's very easy for me to just kind of withdraw, put myself out there. In fact, doing this is hard for me. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any about specific questions you might have about our relationship. I really valued the time that I had with her, and it has developed into a long-term friendship that has really enriched and enhanced my life. Thanks.
If there are any questions from the three of us who participated in the pilot program last year, we'd be happy to answer those together. And I will say, I will echo everything Jillian just said as far as it not being about me and what I know, but learning from the other person as well, regardless of which role you were in.
Okay, so at this point, we'll just share a few of the nuts and bolts for what we have planned for the upcoming mentorship program. The program is planning to span for about 6 months, so there will be a kickoff in early January, and then the expectation is that the mentors and mentees will meet once a month. So whether it's doing something fun like Julianne and her mentor, or I'm sorry, and her mentee did at a specific event, or a lunch, or whatever works best for your schedules. Some monthly reflections after that, because we do want it to be a growth process and something that you think about a little bit outside of just the conversation that you have with your partner. And each month will also have a theme that will have a focused lunch and learn to go along with that. So if you and your partner would like to attend those, you'll have some additional support related to that theme. And then we'll have a final celebration and wrap up in June.
I'll say that we strategically picked the topics of these to provide our mentor-mentee pairs with some more resources. There is going to be an online toolkit. There'll be a mentor toolkit. There'll be a mentee toolkit that we will be continually updating as we find more resources and add them in. And certainly the slides that were presented here earlier would be a good fit in there. But so these lunch and learns that are related to mentorship don't preclude everybody else from coming. If you aren't in the program or you don't have any interest in the program, you could still come and learn about strategic career planning, networking, and things like that. So it's going to be broadly relevant. It will just be maybe a touch more relevant for our mentee pairs. But this would be an excellent opportunity for you and your mentee to plan to come to these, and maybe then you could get together afterwards. But we're giving you a built-in meeting once a month so that maybe you don't have to plan something else. You can just get it all done in that, and then follow up via email or Skype or however that want to work. However you want to work it.
Good time for a few questions?
Yes, please.
How do you match up mentor with mentee? Is it based on interest, career goals, etc.?
Yes.
All of the above. Yes, so the application, and we'll touch a little bit more on that in a second, but the application is coming out, is out at this point. And so we'll have information about that applicants can include about, their career goals and what they'd like out of the program. And we'll use that in helping to determine theirs.
We also expanded the application a little bit from what it was last year to say, like, what do you feel your strengths are?
Mm-hmm.
And not like what's your weakness, but what would you like to learn more about? And so that we can hopefully match up somebody whose strength is this with somebody who wants to learn more about this and different areas. And we will have a long drawn out matching process.
Okay. Is there any formal training provided to the mentors? If so, what does it consist of?
There is no formal training like on Wednesday at 10 a.m. everybody come to this. It is because we don't want to limit you in what you can do in your role as a mentor. So we want you to lead how you want to lead and teach what you want to teach. But we will have this toolkit, which will be a lot of like articles and resources and things like that. And then we'll help you through these lunch and learns with maybe expanding that.
I have one more, and it's probably one you're probably about to get to. How can you sign up to be a mentor or mentee?
Glad you asked.
All right. Okay, so the application was just posted on the Staff Senate's website under the Programs tab. And I believe you'll also be receiving that in one of the staff-wide emails very soon. And it is due on December 4th, so you still have several weeks to complete that. Am I missing any details?
No, and it's a very easy application. Like we touched on, you know, some of the strengths. What do you want to learn again? We do have you attach a resume just so we can sort of see your skills versus what you want to be matched with and things like that, so that we can hopefully get a little bit more background on folks to help with the matching process. But the application is very limited. And I mean, I think, I'll speak out of turn, but like, we're not going to turn away anybody unless it would be for space.
Right.
Because we're trying to keep this one. So last year was the pilot program. It was relatively small. We're still trying to keep it relatively small just so that we can keep it manageable. But it is now opening up university-wide, which includes healthcare as well.
Any other questions from people in the room?
Let's say, for instance, to try to keep this number limited, say either due to space or say matching, for lack of a better term, there's not a match made for a person, right? Would we possibly be able to do it another round, I guess?
Yes.
Say, let's say somebody wanted to switch the department, but there's nobody in that department, who's stepped up, like, are you all going to help facilitate that, or just say, well, we'll try to get you next week?
Both.
But there is a spot on the application if you have a specific mentor in mind that you can kind of, or mentee in mind, so that will help with the matching purposes essentially. And yes, John.
I'll come up so I can talk to them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's supposed to get up and grab it in the box.
Yeah.
This spot though, it says like, do you know someone who would be a good mentor? So that maybe it may not mean that we would match you with that person this time, but for next time we would reach out to that person and say, you've been identified as someone who would be a good mentor, and hopefully encourage them to apply so that we could match you in a subsequent round.
And we do have support from the executive vice president offices and from the provost office and even up in the president's office to help us facilitate if we need to find mentors. We should be able to match you if you have someone specific or a specific area.
I just wondered if we would keep a rolling tab of that, if that was the case, or if people would have to reapply annually if they didn't get selected before.
If that was the case, our plan is to keep track of that information, and so reach back out to that individual.
But we would certainly encourage them to reapply just for insurance.
Yeah.
Do mentors need to be full-time employees?
I think we said, I think it's open to anybody who is considered full-time, so 0.75 FTE, I believe, is what it says.
I just had someone in mind.
Is she employed here? I mean, it's a serious question. It's like, you know, I mean, we want to, obviously we want our mentors and mentees to all be university employees of some sort. We don't want you to intern at or mentee at a bank or, you know, whatever. So it would be somebody here. I mean, I don't think, if she was willing, I don't see why we couldn't look into that. I would encourage you both to fill out the application. Anything else? Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for attending. We hope that you consider applying and participating in the program.
We'll see you in January at the Lunch and Learns.